Hey, my crafty friends. This is Terry Marcus with the Yaya Collection. And today I'm going to share with you some of my must-have and favorite tools for paper crafting. So you're looking at one of them. This is a self-healing mat. This one happens to be from Cricut. You can get them all kinds of places. You can get them from Amazon. You can get them from AliExpress. You can get them all different sizes, colors, whatever. The best part about this is that it's numbered. And if you're in a different country, it'll be in centimeters. And it has the grid. And the grid really helps when you're working on cards and things like that to keep everything aligned. Plus, if you get glue on it, you can wipe it off. Always have my handy dandy baby wipes at hand. Wipe it off. Anyway, it's just great. If I'm going to be working with paint, I move to my glass mat, and that's easily cleaned, or if I'm doing something really messy. But this is what I keep on here because I can use one of my favorite tools, the Cricut control knife, true control knife. This is like, it looks like an X-Acto knife, but this handle has a little bit of a cushioned grip. I love it. I use it every day. It's very easy to change the blades. You don't ever touch them. And in fact, I have two of them because I love them so much. So this will not harm your mat. It'll heal. You won't even see that I did that. So you know in paper crafting there's lots of cutting. If something didn't cut correct on your die cutter or you have a little corner or something, you're always using your knife. So this is one of my most favorite pieces of tools. Then I guess my next favorite tool is going to be my bone folders. And I use lots of different kinds. So these, because I do lots of cards, are great for making those crispy edges for cards or for albums. You can score with this particular one. This one doesn't leave marks on the black. I got it on Amazon. Two came in the pack and they were maybe $14 for the two of them. Can clean it. I clean all of my tools with alcohol or nail polish remover. So I just put on cotton swab and clean it. So this I've had for a really long time, so you can tell I do a lot of scraping. But I use this to make sure my glue gets mushed around and really makes good contact. So having several of these is always good. Another item I use is my brayer. And this is another tool that gets that glue all mushed around. You push on it and this rolls. It's kind of like your lint roller that you have. And I didn't know how much I would love it till I found this on clearance at Joann's, and it goes everywhere with me. So I use it for album making, for cards. Anytime I want to make sure a piece of paper is very smooth, I use it on my Cricut mats to make sure the paper's well adhered, especially if I'm using glitter or something that's a little harder. I want to make sure that it's adhered well and stays put. Look at my notes. Scoreboards. So any kind of paper craft you do, you're probably going to need a scoreboard. I bought this little bitty one. It's a We Are Memory Keepers. On the back it tells you how to make envelopes, but I'm not smart enough to figure it out. And this has its own little stylus to do the grooves. I darkened the numbers here because I couldn't see them. You can see here where they're just in the plastic. It is too difficult for my old eyes to see, so I darkened them up here. And I don't use the stylus that comes with this. I'll show you what I use. But down here you have centimeters, and here you have inches. And then here's my big baby. Excuse me. So this is great because it has the numbers in a different color. So you have centimeters and you have inches, and this is 12, a little over 12 inches. So you can fit a whole sheet of paper on it. So this is how you score and make those grooves to have your nice folds. And then you use your bone folder to get a crispy edge, because you always want a crispy edge. Okay, the Stylus, I prefer to use these Stylus instead of what comes with the scoreboards. This came in a pack of 3. I got them, I don't have a clue where I got them, but you can tell that each of the ends has a different little ball on it, down to this one that does, it's a pokey, but all the rest have a little tiny ball. So this is the one I use the most to score, and it fits great right in the groove to do your paper. If you're using scrapbooking paper instead of cardstock, you have to be a little more gentle. So, you know, I score once, see how it goes, and then I'll go up a couple more times if I need the groove deeper. So these are my favorite Stylus. If you do flowers and you don't have a flower kit to do the edges, you could use this ball here, the larger one, to do that. But I do like these, and I keep them at my side all the time. I also have the little Cricut spatula. I've had the Cricut since it first came out, and this is what they recommended using to get your paper off the mat. But I find lots of uses for it. I use it to help get die cuts off my mat, things like that. But I use this a lot. Then when I'm weeding, these are my 2 tools I use for weeding. This is the Cricut one, and I see lots of posts all the time how there's a little curve on the end. There's supposed to be a little curve on the end. That's how you pick up and get that edge of that vinyl and pull it off. But my dear friend Kiradad gave me this tool, and it's called a pin weeding tool. And it looks like a pin, which is good because you impale yourself. But it's got this amazing point on it. Can you see it? And it is probably the best weeding tool I've ever used. It's so fine. It picks up so easy. I mean, it just weeds like a dream. So I keep it in its little case next to this. But this doesn't leave my house because I don't want to lose it. This I'll take with me if I'm going somewhere. Then I love making things that are embellished with gemstones. So 20 years ago when I started this journey, this is what I used. It was called the Quicker Poker Picker Upper. And you can get it probably at Michael's, and they're usually, were originally for jewelry, and they're usually in the jewelry department. But this has this little sticky stuff, kind of like what teachers use to put stuff on boards, and that's what you pick it up with, your little thing. And then on this side, you've got a double-ended, and it's to help push things in place or hold it down. And then I discovered this little beauty. So this has a wax tip to pick up your gemstones, little pieces of paper. And then this end, you can nudge it in. But for those of you who do diamond painting, this is the end that you use for that glue, goop, whatever it's called, to put your diamonds on. So you're able to stick it in that little piece of glue and pick up your diamonds for diamond painting. So this, I even gave one of these to my granddaughter to use because she loves sequins. So she uses it to put sequins on. Excuse me. So these must-have tools. Another must-have that you might not think about is an emery board. When I cut, it seems like mostly when I cut scrapbook paper or my blade and my paper cutter's getting dull, the paper frays a little bit on the edge, you can use an emery board to go along that edge and clean up those little bitty pieces. So this stays in my craft room. Then tweezers. I have a plethora of tweezers. These are probably my go-to ones. I stole them from my husband. but I use that a lot when I'm working and putting little things in place. I can pick them up. These are from Pink and Main, and they're ergonomic, and so you squeeze it to open it, and you let go, it holds on. And I've got a couple others like that, and this is the only pair that actually really hold on to the item, the piece of paper. All the rest are not tight enough, it slips through. So I probably shouldn't even keep those others, but I do. But anyway, so these are my two favorites. An old one. Lord knows how long my husband had this. And then this one. But tweezers are important in a room. And then you need a poking tool. And I use this a lot when I use double-sided tape to help get it started. Move things in place. It just comes in handy. To have no clue where I got it. Would never have picked a yellow, so I don't know where it came from. But it's kind of sharp, so you be careful. Then, let's talk about scissors a little bit. I have these from Tim Holtz. These are his haberdashery that are supposed to never need sharpening, and I use these for fussy cutting. And then I have these. These are Cricut scissors, and these are all my paper scissors. So I clean these with alcohol when the blades get sticky, and I notice this one's sticky, so I need to clean it because I cut a lot of double-sided tape. But these are my scissors that I keep. So you need scissors. So you need a mat. When you first start out, you need a mat. You need good scissors. And then you need to figure out what you're going to do. And I would say you need a true control knife for sure to get started. And then as you get into your journey, you'll kind of figure out what else you need. It's a never-ending need, of course. Kira, Dad, and I laugh all the time. We need it or we want it. So if you do cards like this where you do dimensional flowers, I use the Heartfelt Flower Shaping Kit. And it comes with your pad, and it comes with a little baby pad. But it comes with your handle and all different sizes of the roller balls to do the edge. So you use it by going around the edge of your paper, and it pulls it up. It softens the paper. This is why I love paper, because you can reshape this flat thing. Or you can do it from the back and make the petal go backwards. This is if you don't get their dies. So another tool that's made is this, and they're called golf clubs because they look like golf clubs. This would be a good thing to have if you're a woman alone on a dark street, because you could impale somebody very quickly with these. They are so sharp. But they have these little golf club ends on them. And you'll see there's little ridges in it. I don't know if you can see that or not. So what you do is it works the same way. Is you take it and you pull. And that makes your little petal come up, or your leaf, or whatever you're trying to do. There's how you reshape it. You could spritz it a tiny bit with water. I wouldn't do too much or your paper will tear. But depending on what size your petal is what size little golf club you would use. So these are really cool to have. I don't buy the things from Heartfelt that you put through your embossing, or is that what's called? Embossing machine to shape the flowers. So instead, I use these, or go to a class where she has the right ones. So you need this cushy little mat, and you can buy them. You know, you don't have to get the one from here. But you just, if you use the golf clubs, or you want to use your, from your Stylus here, you can do the same thing. It's just about breaking down the fibers in your paper and making it do what you want. So it's very malleable, and you're just taking those corners. Any of you who make cakes, you do the same thing when you're making a flower, is you're going along the edge and making it thinner. So here you're breaking down those fibers. Paper's woven this way, are made with fibers going back and forth. So you need to break that down to get it to be more malleable. So those are the two tools I use for that. This stays in, I have a carrier for when I go to classes, and these two stay in that, and so I can find it all the time. All right. Then this little tool is when you cut very intricate dies on your Sizzix or Tim Holtz or your Cricut or your Gemini or anything, and it has lots of little tiny pieces. You can use a mat like this heartfelt one that has a little give to it, and you just put your die down and you roll this over it gently, and it helps get those little pieces out. It comes with a pokey tool on this side, so you can use it to get some little ones out. And then you unscrew it, and look, there's a little paddle in there. Never used it, but it's there. So this is great for cleaning out little dies. I was doing some this weekend and I forgot to bring this tool, so I had to sit there and poke out every single little piece of paper. It was not fun. I wished I'd had this with me. All right. Something else I love is when I use my die. I do a lot of edging with die, but sometimes I want to get in here in these little spaces, and so I bought these off Amazon, and I think I just searched tiny micro brushes, and they come in all these colors. You can color code them, but you'll see there's different sizes of nibs on them. So you put it in your ink pad, and then you're able to paint in these little tiny places. And then my husband saw them, and he does model trains, and he was like, "Oh, where'd you get those?" So then I went on and I found these. So this came with 3 huge containers like this. And again, they have different sizes in here. Oh, this one only has one. Maybe each one has a different size. So anyway, we share these now that he discovered them. But these little brushes are great for getting in little tight areas, or doing those of you that do stamps and you want to get into a tiny little area. They're great for that. Okay, paper cutters. I have a love-hate relationship with paper cutters. I have a lot of them. And they all serve a different purpose. So this one was gifted to me, and this is a guillotine, and it comes down like this. It has all the grids and everything, all what you would normally expect. I use this when I'm cutting heavy craft board or gray board for my albums. So if I'm doing 50 point, this is what I use. Or if I'm cutting a lot of things for a class, I'll use this. And I keep it stored away where my grandkids can't see it. This, I had the very first one, but this is my Cricut personal cutter. Almost every one of these kinds of cutters has this arm that extends some way to give you 12 inches. I laugh so hard when people go, "Oh, it has that." They've been trying to cut on this little area. So they all do, just look for it. It'll extend a different way. The Cricut one also has storage for your blades. So on this one, I keep a score. They almost always have a score blade too. And for Cricut, it's a little piece. This is a separate piece from this knob here. So what you're seeing back here is that little insert. So this actually has a blade in it. and this one is a scoring tool. So they have a place for storage here. I think Cricut blades wear down quickly. I cut a lot of paper. Paper is hard on blades, but I find that the blade wears out really quick. So there's my hate relationship. So I bought the Fiskars. And this is my kind of go-to one at the moment. What I like is it has this little wire that you're probably not going to be able to see, but has this little wire in the center here. And that makes it so easy for me to line up what I'm cutting, because that's exactly where the groove is in here. I use the titanium blades. They seem to last a little longer for me. No storage here for blades, but I do like the way it cuts. And it's not so big and heavy. It's really lightweight that I can take it with me when I go somewhere. Then this is my Big Daddy one. It opens up. Took me a long time to decide to spend the money on this. And then it unlocks so you can lift up the guard. It has, and I can't show it to you, but this has a rotary blade in it. So you know, like the rotary blades you use if you sew, it's got that blade in here, and you're not ever supposed to have to sharpen it or replace it. The only flaw with this is this little groove here where it folds. It messes up your measurements. So if you go from the edge here over, this says 6 is here, but 6 is really in a little ways. And the measurements get off. 9 is here on here, but 9 is here. So you just need to be aware of it. When I get on this side, I always use my ruler to double check. The other thing this doesn't have that my other ones do is on here, I've got measurements. So as I'm looking where to stop cutting along the way, if I don't want to cut the whole 12 inches, I can do it really easily. This doesn't have that measurement for me. So those are a couple of I wish it had, and it doesn't. But this cuts, I can cut 3 pieces of good heavy 80-pound cardstock in one swoop. When I'm cutting for a class and I've got to make 6 sets of everything for an album that I'm teaching, this is my one that I use for all the cardstock cutting. And it does good. The blade doesn't wear out, and it cuts a nice cut. So those are my only little aggravations on it, but I love this. It's expensive, so wait till you have a coupon. Okay, so now we're going to talk about stamping platforms. I go hot and cold about stamping, and I love it because I love embossing and coloring. So this is my Misty. I did invest in the Misty. They're expensive. Wait till you can find one on sale. This is hinged. What's cool about this, if you're a lefty, it works for you also, because you've got your numbers over here. So you can use it as a lefty or a righty. You can use it portrait or landscape. Inside, when you open it up, it has this cushion pad, but it also has a grid here. And then it has this removable. If you have a particularly thick stamp, remove this, and you can leave this in here. What I'm going to do, I just realized that this would be a good thing since I'm stamping again a lot, is I'm going to take one of these sheets and laminate it. And then I'll just have that sheet in there to help me align things. What comes with the Misty are 2 magnets, and they're very strong magnets. So everybody tells you to put washi tape around them so that you can get them. They have like a handle. I'm actually going to redo these and use a piece of vinyl, like Cricut vinyl, and see if that doesn't work a little better and is a little sturdier, because this tears up so much, and as we all know, washi tape isn't the stickiest. These are for in the corners so that you can align something that you don't want right up against the corner or up against the edge, and then you can do it on this edge too. You put your stamp on here, you close your door, it picks it up, the clear stamps, and the big thing about this is you can stamp multiple times. So if it doesn't stamp correctly, it's in the same place. If you want to multi-layer stamps, it's in the same place. So this is really nice. Then I just got this little baby, and it works on springs. It's a We Are Memory Keepers. So I got this to put in my crafting kit to travel with me. It'll be fine for little stamps. Obviously, you put the cling on here, you stick it on, and then you just push down. So I'm anxious to work with it. It's brand new, so I haven't used it yet. But I love the little llama. Isn't it cute? So that's my one and only stamping platform. And I do use it. I keep it clean. I'll do a whole other video on your MISTI, how to use it, how to clean it, all those things. But this will give you just a quick little overview of stamping platforms. Then another little tool I have is I have a Cricut, so I use it to make a lot of my envelopes, but I didn't want to have to pull it out all the time. There's lots of times I make cards, or like a card like this that doesn't come with an envelope, and I need to make one if I'm going to send it. So that's why I got this. And you just find what your card size is. It tells you what size paper to cut, and then where to punch it on here. And if you want, I can do a video on it. It's really easy. You can do boxes. It's very easy to use, and it has an arm that goes out. So you need to know that if you get this. It has an arm because your paper is going to stick out on here, and you need this. It comes with its own stylus, and on this I do use this stylus. So you need this arm when you're scoring to make so. Right here. It's a pretty cool tool. I like having it, and I sat here one day, I had a bunch of cards that I was going to donate, and I probably had a dozen that didn't have envelopes. It was really easy to knock them out with this little tool. And I like We Are Memory Keepers. They always have a stylus and a place to keep it. Here's what the back looks like. This is the punch that punches the corners and the notch. And this is the part that comes out. Then rulers. You have got to have a good ruler. Now, I laugh because I probably have 2 people in my life that can read a ruler. In my previous life, I was an interior designer. I feel like I've been reading fractions all my life and reading tape measures. So it's second nature to me. So I laugh when people don't know how to read them. These 2 rulers I like because they give you all of the measurements. So on the Tim Holtz one, you have your inch, you have your 1/8 of an inch, and you have your 1/4 of an inch. So all of the dotted ones are 1/8 of an inch, all your solid here are 1/4s, and then your inches. So if you need something at 3/8, here's 1, and then 1, 2, 3/8. I like this ruler because it goes both directions. I especially love the 0. So if I need to center something on this piece of paper, I just get it to where it's equal distance on either side. So it's 2.5, and there's 2.5 from that direction. This is my dead center. So I love that feature on it. I love that it's all marked, both directions. So I can find my 1/8 going this way and this way on something. So learn your measurements. It's not that hard. You probably are rarely going to have to go below 1/8 of an inch on anything you do in paper crafting, but you might. Then having a safety ruler, because as you know, this is my favorite tool, the knife. Well, I don't want to be sitting here holding it like this and then it slip. I have a few friends that have lost ends of fingers. So this is a safety ruler so that you can hold it like this and then run your knife down. And as many albums as I make and cutting of chipboard, this is a lifesaver. So this one happens to be from Cricut. I get it when it's on sale. My husband loved it so much he got one. And it gives you the measurements, and it's hard to see, but it gives you all the way down to, let's see, 1/4, 1/8, 16, 32 of an inch in here, which I never need. But here's your half. Your next biggest one is 1/4. Your next one down would be 1/8. And then you go down to 16ths and 32nds. So this is a great, but mostly I use this to just hold and cut where I need to on big, thick things. It's also an 18-inch ruler. So that's nice to have versus a 12-inch ruler. But these are my two favorite rulers because of the way they're marked. And I do a lot with that. Now, I know other people that'll, when they're doing something, they'll take their piece of paper and just like set it like here and then mark where they're gonna cut. I'm one that uses the measurements. So whatever works for you, you need to find the best way, but take the time to learn to read your ruler. It's not that hard. There's plenty of cheat sheets out there. Print one out and stick it in your workstation so you can see it. But most rulers, your biggest lines are your inches, your next biggest line is your half, your next biggest is your 1/4, your next biggest is your 1/8, and then it goes down 16th and 32nds. It's the same thing on a tape measure. Let me see if I have a tape measure here. Hold on a second. The last thing is my most favorite tool, and that's my little girl here. She's my little ladybug. She's a vacuum. Turn her on, and she picks up little pieces of paper, dust, whatever. I love her so much. And then she empties out. She runs on a couple of, I think, AA batteries. Anyway, it comes off of Amazon. I think they come as a frog, a ladybug, a couple other things. But I keep her on my desk, and then every week or so, I clean up all the dog hair, my hair, everything. But I love her. I've thought about putting eyelashes on her. But anyway, I love her. Maybe we can come up with a name for her. But she's a cool little tool and a great little vacuum. And it's just fun to see her sitting on my desk. So thank you for joining me today. I'm so happy to be back. I hope everybody's doing well. Please subscribe, like, and give me a comment. Tell me, what did you like? What do you want to know about? What would you like to see a longer video on? That all helps grow my channel by you liking and giving comments. And I really appreciate all of you that have stood beside me and been on this journey. Have a great day.